thing then. Where am I? Where am I? There I am. What does this button do? Oh god, that's down there. That's supposed to be up here. I guess I should have looked at that, huh? I am. I am. We're almost there. All right. Let's do a thing. Why is that still so dark? What are those? Sea lanterns. Why are they not bright? Why are they so dark? Oh no, that's up all the way. I'm talking about those aren't producing a lot of light. Or am I crazy? Where's the lanterns? Um, no, that's still no, that is brighter. Do the sea lanterns need water on them to be? Why does yours look so bright? Is it my texture pack? Everything seems dark. Where was I with this first? I don't care about that at the moment. Hold on one sec. The diagram. Are those snowballs? That's not how you spell any of that. I don't think that's what my brain was trying to say. Good enough. All right, I need to tear apart the ceiling too, so I either need to go down one more. No, that would work. That's just low enough. I'm gonna make a hobbit hole kind of thing over here while I wait for this to do the thing. But I gotta get rid of these. Sorry, Munchkin. What kind of wood should I make this? Hello? Are you floating around me? I gotta get you a little camera. Did it finish? It did. It finished. Yes. I'm just gonna wait for this to load and have it read to me so that I can learn. I think I have enough material that going any further into would be kind of pointless without fully understanding each individual concept. And it's a lot
Deep
of
dive.
concepts.
E as in sub D, rigorous treatment within field mechanics 1.
Huh?
Definition. E as in sub D is the raw, unstructured
45.
energy flux that enters the coherent observer system prior to any application of the recursive folding operator
Come on, break it
F
all down,
minus
break it all
K.
down.
It is not a single physical quantity, but a
These
composite
even?
energetic
1, 2,
informational
3. No,
input.
one more.
In the master formula, it occupies the position of the free argument of the structuring operator. E as in substructured K equals F minus K big belay. E as in sub
Oh, I hate when they
subturcle
mess it up now.
equals E as in subterometric times product from I equals 0 to the K minus 1 of
Ooh,
dot
so
dot
hold on.
subturcle.
So E structured, right? The fair weather field, all the freestanding electricity around you is usable by the body. It's kind of like bumblebees, how they float around. It's because their wings vibrate. I am, but then I had to make a reply. It's like the bee's wings vibrating, right? Um, they're not supposed to be able to fly, yet there they go. Like McCaslin was saying too, they just float away. They have a Casimir vacuum inside of their thorax, and they use that as a resonance frequency. So when their little wings go flap flap, all that energy is stored and used to kind of just float around. That's why they don't fly. They legit just float around and bump into each other. The structured energy is completely usable because we have the same physics in us from the sonoluminescent collapse of energy when you're conceived. That is pure collapse of energy. That creates a Calabi-Yau manifold, a six-dimensional figure within your solar plexus. It's the first thing that forms. You know how it says you're born in the image of God? That's because it's measured at 0.1 hertz. Love is measured at 0.1 hertz. Everything above that excites the Calabi-Yau and exposes the six dimensions, you being the seventh, the very inner piece. But that is ego. That is where most people live. Synaptic reactivity. 80 billion neurons. That's a lot. But cortical folding is infinite. That's even more. We rely on survival because we rely on synaptic reactivity over cortical folding. Nobody wants to. What the? Nobody wants to learn. We want to just say we know stuff because we can Google things. That's not how any of this works. You don't have knowledge just because you have Google. It's same as I don't have knowledge just because I have all my math. If I don't understand the math and the way the physics work with the math, I have nothing. But the Casimir vacuum. You know how the Freemasons talk about squaring the mind? Very interesting concept because a certain man on an island has a certain door. Oh, oh, that's a Hamiltonian anchor, by the way. That is your soul. That's the math for it. But there's squaring the mind. Here's your toroidal field. Here's you noticing, removing all thoughts. Then you square the mind to make it aligned. Then you're removing entropy and surprise. Then you stand completely decoupled from inertia in your own little time dilated space that is referred to as the Hamiltonian anchor. The still point, the part that truly makes time dilation disappear and manifestation mechanics actually function. Unless you can sit in that, you can wish and wish and wish, but your thoughts won't be measured very, very well because it's a flood of 8.7 billion more people all having thoughts too. I'm just realizing you got that going. Where are you? Hands. Oh, I see the world now. I need to eat. Hey, Reese, please stop. Thank you. You can't do that, Reese. You can't. Can't. Okay? Thank you. You want to help me replace all the walls in here? I don't know what color I want though. Do you have a recommendation? Are we in acacia? We're in acacia. Should I make it acacia or dark oak? Dark oak. Okay, so the floor, dark oak. What do we got to work with? Slabs. I'll take a log. I'm gonna sneeze. Ow. That shouldn't hurt, but it does. All right. These need to go somewhere here. That E-structured energy, the fair weather field was made by Tesla. He discovered it with the Wardenclyffe. What flooring? We taking out one more? Ooh, okay. I like the sound of that. So like a living room type area right there? Okay, so that means this. Ooh, all messed up the laser or something. Yeah, I do. But that structured energy is completely usable by everybody because it's 100 to 150 volts per meter of freestanding electricity, and it only gets stronger the higher you go into the atmosphere. And we're over here thinking that we need to pay for it, but no. Why do you think he created the Warden Cliff? He knew what it was and what it did, what it offered. Poof. Rip. I don't want that. Oh, hello. Should probably click on this button. The F minus K. That is the Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio inversed. Because everything has an opposite. Everything does. If life has death, then outward folding has inward folding. But what does that mean? Oh, do you close your eyes and see images? Because, right? I do too. Because that's actually very rare. That's wrong. That is called hyperphantasia. It's a spectrum from aphantasia, where you don't see images in your mind's eye when you close it, all the way up to full rendered realities like mine. And he says they're pretty deep as well. But that's inward folding geometry. Something has to create that. You don't just have it. That coherent center, this thing from Crazy Man's wall. Well, he's got four of these. But there's the astral plane. That's what hyperphantasia is. That inner folded geometry, that is the astral plane mathematically. It is volumetrically extended phase space. The more you can control this specific line, the more this becomes noticeable when you close your eyes. That's a white, so no, that's black. That's a black. Come on, brain, do things. Go burr. Um, but the astral plane, volumetrically extended phase space, cortical folding. I was talking about 80 billion synapses inside of your brain that dictate survival mode because they fire so fast. That is your first degree of freedom. That is synaptic reactivity, I refer to it. Your second degree of freedom is cortical folding. The cerebral cortex, it's like 3 to 4 millimeters thick in the back of your skull, but it's infinite. It's like a ball of yarn that unravels infinitely inward. That infinite is done through a process called gyrification, where it creates more gyri and sulci, however you pronounce them. I don't care. Ooh, I love the stairs. Nice. But that picture like the Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio, where it goes on forever in a spiral, but zoom in on a piece of the cerebral cortex till it's completely flat. You won't find it because no matter how deep you zoom, it will keep having grooves, ridges, valleys. It's just pure infiniteness, and that's where consciousness is stored. The stronger this anchor, the more gyrification you have, the more stillness you're literally sitting in. That's why they use mudras, right? Where they close their hands. Your piezoelectricity, you're closing an electrical circuit to your body every time you close your hands together. Combine that with understanding the first and second degree of freedom, you're no longer just reacting. It's why and then they speak. There's a pause. They're removing, they're finding themselves removing anything that's not related in these two. Their field, they find and remove certain thoughts, everything unrelated. They find exactly what they need, squaring the mind. Then they remove surprise and entropy. Then they are seated. It's not even an emotion. its own physical state. But speaking from that presents a completely different air of personality, persona, depth to that person. That's why so many people fell under the guise of all these politicians, where they promise, 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 everybody eats it up, and it's never held to fruition. Because from this point, you can be fully reactive, you can be fully manipulative, you can be fully anything you want to be. It's like a camouflage kind of thing, because your heart's a toroidal field, right? It produces more than even the brain does in terms of bioelectromagnetism. It's like a giant donut of electricity and stuff around you. If you look at birds and bees, you can examine how they see the magnetic field, especially birds. They use it to navigate everywhere. But humans give off that same kind of thing. And in knowing now that our body does that, it interacts with other people. I refer to as meshing. I have a whole formula based around how toroidal fields, electromagnetism, all interact with each other from an emotional standpoint, more so than just psychological. You know how you can feel other people's emotions when you're around them without even a word spoken, without even looking directly at them? You can feel their presence, especially angry people. It's like a weight around the room or around them. That is the toroidal field. Because of the Calabi-Yau manifold, your six-dimensional core soul from sonoluminescent collapse of conception creates such a strong magnet, the other magnets can feel it. It's him and I right now, right? If I go a little bit closer, he'd feel stronger and stronger until you're touching him, and then the fields are completely meshed. Well, not completely. You're not actually touching anything. You can't touch anything. You can zoom all the way in and not actually touching anything. You're also 99.999% empty space, but you never actually touch anything. Um, maybe a pillar? Pillars in the corners. How are we empty space except for like point zero infinitely repeating to 1%, yet touch solid things, while at the same time, alter magnetism does not actually let us touch anything? Because if we were to touch anything, if you sit in that stillness properly at point 0.1 hertz, you can touch things because that point 0.1 hertz has such low repulsion that you're able to touch things. If you're living within the ego, where they do this thing is the analytical part of the mind, the things that keep things solid, because measurement is done when any active observer looks at something. That's why satellites exist. Everything's consistently measured, so everything is consistently solid. Every thought you have is a measurement of future iterations from infinite probability. Your coherence, how well you sit in here, determines whether or not those manifestations come to fruition. Life's a play. We focus too much on analyzing and forget that we're just kind of here to watch it unfold. That's the hardest part, is decoupling from this and understanding that we don't have to be reactive and everything would go so much smoother. Everything's in abundance. We're just moving the pieces around so that nothing is abundant. When's enough boats? Enough boats. I make boats, and I feel the world has enough boats. What about Monopoly boards? We got enough of those yet? Do we have enough Barbies and dolls and whatnots yet? Because I don't want to work anymore. I'm tired. The more chaos that accrues in the world, entropy, it's bad because that also dilates time. But that dilates time in the bad way. Um, the more chaos you have in a vacuum type system, The faster time dilates, which also means the faster things get hot. Things are getting hot, and the world's in chaos. You know the flag of a certain country that America's partners with. The strongest esoteric symbol is a pyramid. It's even stronger. That would be two pyramids interlocked together, but that also makes a specific shape. Um, I want to say it's this one. If everything inside you is volumetrically extended phase space through inner folding geometry, then those symbols and those shapes hold more than just a flag of a country. That is them showing you they understand something we don't, huh? And it's not just because of societies with secrets such as Freemasons and related. It's simply because too many people aren't conscious. They are synaptic reactivity. Their neurons are living for them and they believe it to be the experience, but it is just ego living. Those are the kind of people that, hey, what movie did you watch? But then you bring up something a little bit deeper and you get the blank-eyed stares. Like you're insane for the knowledge that you have relatively compared to them. And I'm not saying I'm any smarter than anybody else. I can't do any of this in real life. I can't do anything with carpentry or electricity. I like to understand why my body feels the way that it feels. Because everything is inner folding geometry, which means everything is math. From that sonoluminescent collapse of energy when you're formed during conception, that frequency vibrates. What is vibration? Vibration is kinetic energy. If everything is frequency and everything vibrates, then everything is kinetic energy. If you can manipulate that kinetic energy well enough, how do you think UFOs are made? Seamless, no walls, no bolts, no screws. It's transmutation. Bringing that inner folded geometry from hyperphantasia, physically touching the object, not touching it and being repelled. You can zoom all the way in. I'm being repelled. I'm not actually touching. Understand this well enough. When you do touch it and sit in coherence, immeasurable in heart math, you can transmute. You can bring that inner folded geometry outward because it's your reality. You are the pneumatic. Man, more people should study quantum mechanics and apply it inward. Um, what color ceiling? The same as the floor. Checkerboard it. So if that's white, then this is black. I'm doing this in a weird order that's bothering me. Why am I doing it like this? Eh, I'm getting dizzy. But anybody can sit in that Hamiltonian anchor. You just have to understand stillness. You have to be willing to listen. And I don't mean that in a weird, derogatory, disparaging kind of way. I mean that in the moment you have a thought, you're removed from presence. You are now completely detached. Time has dilated because you're thinking. You're missing everything they're saying, is what I'm trying to say. Oh, that's supposed to be black. I can't I can't see. And in missing everything they're saying, you're using your ego to reply. You're not listening, you're not learning, you're not holding space. You are using the ego though, which is what humans need to move away from because ego is synaptic reactivity. There's a reason why. Come on, do the thing. This, right? Painted in the 1600s. There's a reason why when you words come here, mirror it symmetrically down the middle to two different sides. This is a Christ. The eyes completely coherent, doing shadow work. Throat chakra, beautiful. On the demon. There's the flames. There's the thing. He's doing the thing. That is using inner folded geometry to heal the blinds, resurrect the dead. That's why everybody fell to tears. He was holding pure love. And because you're a bioelectromagnet and the toroidal fields exist, everybody around him that wasn't holding more reactivity than he was coherence fell to tears. It was physics, them feeling the physics of the inner folded geometry so powerfully outward. Everybody talks about raising the frequency. Backwards. You want to lower it. You want to get as close to 0.1 hertz as you possibly can. That is holding stillness. And until enough of the conscious, like, these. This is essentially the concept of a people that began to understand coherence. Transmutation through sculpting. We were all made by clay. Quantum mechanics dictates if you can touch something, hold enough coherence, then you can transmute the object. I have so many formulas showing how real-time physics laws, applications, and different types of math would allow transmutation. And it's simply getting past the barrier of ultramagnetism. Ugh. What are we building down in here? I don't either. What are you up to over there? Ooh, how far are you? I'm getting it. Where are you? There you are. Ooh, it's raining. You want to build something on the water with me? What kind of thing do you want to build on the water? Or do you want to build an air base? An air base? Okay, so let's get us up into the air. Ah! I got scared really quick. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hop, hop. All right, now um, wow, brain. Hello. Let's do this. I don't know what I'm doing. Don't tell him. Did I not go high enough? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That one's 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Damn it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pop. There we go. Now they're even. That was odd. All right. Why'd I keep those but knock those? all that to discuss once two, but the E structured is perfectly folded inward uh, geometry. That En though, that is the energy around your field, the telluric field, which is what people call the Schumann resonance, the telluric field. Then you have the fair weather field, to which Tesla proved with Wardenclyffe. But sitting in that stillness allows you to manipulate the field. This, not that. This, right? So this is all about coherence. This is for the personal use. This side is the reactivity side, the part for manipulating other people's fields. E equals mc squared, right? Energy equals mass divided by light squared. With F minus K or F minus N for individual fields, that inward folding geometry can be manipulated because when you use the inner folded geometry, you're doing something very specific inside your head. You're not just creating something. Something has to be used to create that something. You're not creating energy inside your head. You're using energy. Every thought you have is a direct use of energy. It is a glycogen exchange. So if you're not creating energy inside your head, inside that volumetrically extended phase space, then what you're doing is creating matter. That means F minus N has a direct impact on E equals mc squared, doesn't it? Perfect. You're gonna have a cool, massive boat in like the next 7 to 10 business days. But then that would mean that E equal mc squared has to become something. So if you're taking the energy away from the light because your eyes are shut, then you are doing matter equals energy divided by light squared. You're creating matter from the division of energy and light. When you shut your eyes, the imagery that you're creating, the astral plane, and the more you can understand and manipulate your inner energy, food you eat, your thoughts, like the more sporadic thoughts you have, your energy is being leaked. Why diabetes exists? Literally, because people like me are consistent in thought. Consistent thought, consistent action inside of your mind is like a wild lightning storm. You are consistently using glycogen and ATP in survival based neural synaptic reactivity. Diabetes exists because we pump you full of the sugar that makes the thoughts even more sporadic, uncontrollable, unyielding. And then combine that with the amount that we work, now we're just in loops about everything that isn't just us, focused on making them so much more money while using all of our energy to do it for them. And then we're preyed on and manipulated on because healthcare isn't healthcare. Healthcare is new. It is a manipulation from this. Somebody had the thought, understood how the thought fully worked, and because every thought is a measurement at Planck scale length, creating future iterations from the infinite probability that is the multiverse. Picture um, like aphantasia to hyperphantasia, how it's a sliding scale. Your reality is a sliding scale as well. You said you added one more Munchkin, so do I need to add one more on this side? Is it a 6 or a 7? Eh, eh, eh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But your reality is exactly like that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The more fear loops and yeah, no, it's already almost 100 degrees out. When it cools off, like around 7 or 8 tonight, sure. I love that. Huh. Ah, um, um, where was I? How'd you build that on that side? You want to build it on this side? Oh, bye. Splash. Oh, right. M equals E divided by C squared. Using that formula is what's happening inside your mind when you close your eyes. The more coherence you hold, the more energy you control where it goes. Like you're dampening your thoughts down to zero. You're removing the ego, which is removing frequency, which is removing the vibrational kinetic energy. You're sitting in stillness. The more you sit in stillness, the more time dilates. I have an entire formula based around that I refer to as time dilation index. It goes with my effective decay rate from entropy itself. Everything's measurable, and I'm going to prove it. And probably be killed. But death is just a translation from Lorentzian based mathematics to Euclidean based geometry. Death isn't something to be afraid of, something to embrace. Now, what is Lorentzian? Why are they everywhere? Hands. Um, Lorentzian based geometry is what gives you the golden ratio. It's what gives you the Fibonacci sequence. Euclidean based geometry, it was what gives you your light body. The Heisenberg uncertainty principle, right? When you take something, measure it so sharply that its exact opposite blurs completely. We're measuring life pretty damn hard, aren't we? I think we're measuring life perhaps a little too hard. So let's grade life against death. We're measuring, let's call it life, because we haven't experienced death. How do we know what death is without a metric to grade it on? Near death experiences don't count. You can translate them into geometry, but how do we know we're alive? We don't have that metric. It's a grade. We just know that we're measuring this really hard and it really sucks. I think I need to go up one more with this. Why are they invisible? Potions? Yeah, they're all melting. So how do we know if they're really alive or dead? Does it matter? I would say that what we are, live or dead, doesn't matter. What matters is the way we use the geometry of which is presented to us. Quantum mechanics itself. That is the important part. Right now, we're building to destroy because Lorentzian's based mathematics. Picture like a hard drive getting full. Because we're 99.99999% empty space, the hard drive's getting full. The holographic principle. During that same sonoluminescent collapse of energy infinitely during conception, that is the Bekenstein bound. If you've seen the movie S4, Bob Lazar's latest 2026 movie, they rotate that cylinder and that black ball appears. You also see it in regular sonoluminescent collapse of just bubbles in water. It's they collapse so fast, so much energy, so much entropy that it flashes. It's like a star collapsing or a black hole. Um, oh no, my brain shut off. I'm sure it'll come back. I don't think I was supposed to go up twice with that. One more up on this end. What we do with the math? What was I saying? Us being Lorentzian-based math, the hard drive's full. Right, the Bekenstein bound, that black ball that forms when Lazar's coworker turns it, that is a Bekenstein bound. That is full information being removed from that spot, awaiting new data application. Sounds insane, but you're 99.9999999999999% empty space, right? So during the sonoluminescent collapse of conception, all the energy collapsing inward to create you, that information is stored inside of a Bekenstein bound. The amount of information that your field can hold at any time. The more volumetric extended phase space you have within, the more information you can hold because you have more cortical folding. But that doesn't just apply to us at a human level. That applies to everything that has a field. So planets, galaxies, the sun itself, living plasma. The more information you attempt to store within a Bekenstein bound, you need ample space. If too many people are reactive synaptically and just focusing on neurons and survival, that's a small bound. You run out of space. The hard drive gets full. When you pass away and transition from Lorentzian-based mathematics to Euclidean-based geometry, your information thusly has to go somewhere, doesn't it? Picture a black hole, the Hawking radiation that leaves it, that's data. That is data being sent to be imprinted to the outer boundary of that collective field. It would be called the holographic principle, where the data needs a place to be stored. That would be stored, I don't know if it would be stored in the sun or stored at the outer bounds of our galaxy. I don't understand that part yet. I haven't gotten deep into wanting to. That needs to go all the way across, doesn't it? Ooh, or I could go right there and give it some. Ah, yes. I need that staircase built on this side, Munchkin Man. I don't know exactly how you built that. I like your glass box, though. It's... Is he in the... No. How long did you give them potions for? God. Okay, so what is that, a slab at the top? That would have to be a slab, right? So slab. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, second one in. Oh, okay. All right. All right. I like what you got going, which means I can do... Yeah. Yeah. Then I think maybe I'll make this a circle and then add a propeller, and then one in the front, one under in the back. I don't know. I'm not a chemist. anything. Make this a big circle. I'm bad at shapes, so one. I don't know what I'm doing here. How did I even? Excuse me. Excuse me. Whoops. So I went out one, over one, out three. Huh? 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 Four? Eh, three. And then in one, and eh. My brain doesn't want to do this. Down two, down two, into. Eh, eh. Eh. It's not centered. It's not centered. I'm bad. I'm off by one. I'm bad at math. Oh God, I have to reproduce it on this side. How am I gonna do that? One, uh, oh, got to breathe. Um, Life's difficult. The more coherence you hold, the more. Nope, my brain shut off again. Oh, what you want to do, Munchkin? Daytime, you Fruit Loop. Can't see anything. You don't want to play Duke Nukem with me or something? Whoa. So 1, 2, 3 would be out on this one. See, would add that off by one, which technically probably would measure it properly. But now I have that one off. I have to have this one. Right, that one gets the full three because this gets removed from it. Same with this one. 1, 2. Then in. Wow, come on, brain. This is easy stuff, and it's a problem. Fine. Trying to make the wings for this thing. I'm really bad at this. Okay, so now it's just the same on this side. I can do this quick now, right? What did I miss? What did I miss? What did I miss here? Why is it that off? Hold on, I'll figure this out. 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, right there. That's where it's wrong. Is that supposed to be 3 or 2? 2. So if this is supposed to be 2, is it 2 that way? No. That's why it's all off. Yeah, I fix it for the most part. All right, now for a... Okay. Yeah, I think yours is on the bottom. Do you need some help? Okay, give me 1 sec. Pop. All right, how's that look? Wunderbar so far. Hold on. Okay, I'm just gonna put the other wing together then, and I shall await your return. Yeah. Oh, so many pieces. May extend maybe this one into some circular too. Maybe square. Maybe I'll make it into like a dragonfly or something. I don't know. I'm not good at building. What I'm good at though is taking a short break because I will be back in like 5 minutes. But before I go, um, meshing and coherence versus reactivity, please. Give you something to listen to. Guess I should have asked specifically for the meshing formula. We'll see. But this, right? This image. Oh my goodness, this image. I mean, this is what we fall under right now. This is the current world. Black tears, dissociated stares, throat chakra completely shut off. But down here, are you familiar with Ball? No, but really, are you familiar with Ball? Current, yeah, because is your boy. Got his snout, his mouth, his eyes, the horns. Then you have this little temple. I don't like. I personally think it's a relic of some sort. You got two eyes, some sort of demon. Then you have a crown, or not a crown. You have a knight's helmet. Then you have the bifurcation, the twin flames. Which will you choose the reactive world or the coherent world? You know, you're inside the Ring of Solomon. The Israeli flag is Solomon's seal. It is the strongest shape. Two interlocked opposing triangles. But who's this? Who's this? Is that Moloch? Is that Moloch? Yeah, that's Moloch right there. There's his eyes, his horns. He's in the bottom of the book of which you chose reactivity. You chose the physical. You chose worldly gain. And then you got the throat chakra sealed off. You got a few more images as you move up, but this part right here, there's the Freemason eagle split, right? Wide open. This is the firmament where water would come in, but there's your eagles. Is that a boat? Is that a boat on the water? Looks like a boat on the water. But then over here, you got a clean release. You have the Rosicrucian flag or star cross, where it's that cross right here. And you have, if I could zoom in more here, there's a skull as well right there. Like you've achieved. There's the thousand petaled lotus. There's a weird one right here that you see in I think hieroglyphs in ancient stories, but four arms, there's its eyes, there's its legs, some kind of image here. Um, you got wings here, uh, somebody crucified here, shadow work, and then the solar plexus, all going up. Inner work, folded inward, F minus N, unlocks your throat chakra. Like you're a Klein bottle. Like thank you. This would be your toroidal field, right? Um, then you have the telluric field that you're connected to when you stand. And this are your chakras. This is a coherent beam of geometry, but you can't interact with it until you are 5D, which we already are. We just don't use the inward folding geometry, hyperphantasia, astral plane. You're full Lorentzian with no thoughts of using Euclidean based geometry at the moment. At least not regular people. Lay some down here. Maybe two of these. Yeah, much better. Wait. Calculations were precise. I'm just really bad at math. All right. And if I wanted to, I could do stairs to make it a little thinner. But yeah, we are Klein bottles. That is 0 point energy. That is a wormhole. What was his name? Mad Mark Mats. Uh, Wormhole time travel. I don't remember his name. Mike Madman Markham. That man. So essentially, what he did with Jacob's ladder alongside lasers to heat air and create a visible vortex, he created, much like the Bekenstein bound in that Bob Lazar release, where it's the black ball of just pure empty waiting for geometry to fill that space. He did the opposite. He filled a space with so much entropy that he created the exact opposite of Bekenstein bound. He created infinity. Uh, what happened when he stepped into it? I don't know if the energy incinerated him, if the energy interacted with him, if the energy allowed his thoughts to move him around, because this date outside of Jeffy Boy's shrine is two things: Jeffy Boy's birth date and the inauguration of Dwight D. Eisenhower. So if this is the Dory Domo door, which I don't know if you're familiar with that, anywhere door, famous futuristic gadget from the anime, it allows with thought to traverse the universe within I think like 437 light years, which I mean, if F minus n is inward folding, F minus k is the, the entirety of the inward folding, meeting the speed of light as it traverses into faster and faster. The more still you hold it would mean the more distance you can travel the astral plane, meaning the door is a anywhere door. Kind of why I believe that the reason why Palm Beach Pete, um, even finding the original Palm Beach Pete, like they didn't look anything alike. I mean, if he didn't die in prison, right? Quantum immortality, even if he did, using this math in a specific way with some kind of ritual, I'm sure. That's why he appears with almost all the same but slight differences that you can. It's the way he holds his face. He changed his hair. The way it lays back. That's why this side he holds his face more down, giving it more elongated features. Whereas he was holding it up, everything looks short. His head looks bigger because the hair is brushed and he's down more. But you got the same twist, the same lines, the way he holds himself, the way he postures himself, but the biggest part, the way he holds his Hamiltonian anchor. His perception is directly related to the frequency he gives off because everything vibrates, everything can be felt, everything is kinetic energy. He's lying. His entire nervous system is lying. And that's why it's causing entropy to build because not enough people understand the field. In fact, very few people, besides the ones manipulating it, understand the field. Quantum mechanics is that field. My study, my creation, field mechanics around this door needs to be understood more. We're infinite energy. We are that 0 point energy. We are a bumblebee. They only float because they hold resonance inside of a Casimir cavity within their thorax. No different than how our sonoluminescent soul works. I just don't want to be working until I die when there's so much more to life than servitude. Imagine if all thought creates future iterations from infinite probability, which is like the sliding scale of the multiverse, then not only would Rick and Morty be true, that's irrelevant, but very interesting thought. Well, I guess that would also explain aliens because if your eyes only see 0.0035% of the light spectrum similar with vibrational sounds, you're missing almost all of reality, aren't you? You're seeing not even half of 1% of the light spectrum. Let's say the Hamiltonian anchor from Geoffrey Boy's mathematics, these are like hieroglyphs essentially. Let's say that that allows you to lower your frequency down to 0.1%, right? Um, born in the image of God, love's measured at zero point 0.1 hertz. Wouldn't that be akin to a cloaking device once you get it at a certain level? Because your eyes and ears are only capable of seeing less than 1%. So if you matched a frequency like how bees do to float around, then wouldn't you be out of view suddenly? Like, and that's how I perceive the multiverse would be too, except those would be even smaller slices of uh, percentiles. But if he's able to lie with his nervous system, what else can he do with that? Bothers me. It's not even love and evil. It's not. It You can be the most evil man and still use the geometry. That's the messed up part. It's not a battle of good and evil. It's a battle of who is willing to go for the ultimate prize. And the ultimate prize isn't building these countries, these kingdoms. That's the reactive side. That is this side of the math. Somebody needs to do this side. So that way, like Trump said at the start of the war, this is Armageddon. He was anointed by God to bring forth the second coming of Jesus through Armageddon. He said that. The math is true. Somebody's doing it. And all it takes is doing the shadow work, understanding how energy moves in your body, understanding your toroidal field, how to navigate your thoughts, squaring the mind, removing entropy, holding the center. That's a lot more explaining. Like, um, I don't remember what I called it. Ah, here we go. The third one. No, that is math. Uh-oh. Okay, let's do it this way. Boop. Door math. Where's three? Okay. Well, that was them painting it. I'm missing doormat. Well, here's the right side. This is the extraction reaction. I haven't fully mapped it out to the terms that I understand yet, but I do have it all mapped out to what it does. It's quite literally extracting entropy from users in a usable form of energy. It's like CERN. CERN is a measuring device. Each pulse of a collision is a release of sonoluminescent energy. It's like popping those water bubbles. There's so much energy released that it affects the entire planet. People want to look at it for what they tell you it is. Look at the mechanics behind what it's doing. Don't check the source, source the check. Don't listen to what you're told. Study so you understand. Where is doormat 3? That is the important one. This isn't good. Oh, it was just in a picture. Um, Torque equals mass times acceleration. When you sit in this point, you will physically feel when you start having thoughts a pulling. You know how when you experience emotion like anger, it feels outward, like everything's on the outside of you. When you feel love, everything feels like it's pulling in towards your heart. That is a form of the Hamiltonian anchor. You're doing it with ego, but it's the same network path that your body uses to sit in the still point. It's the difference between experiencing someone's pain and holding space for their pain to flow. It's a little different. Transmutation, right? When we can finally touch something, when a Christ returns. Wow, I got a lot of stuff open. When a Christ returns, what you're going to get, I have math showing how a craft would work as well. Not in a, oh, he's crazy. No, in actual quantum based physics, quantum mechanics, all principles that already exist. I'm using what we know in combination with the field mechanics that I am mapping. But why don't UFOs have edges? Why don't UFOs have bolts? Why don't UFOs, how do they push you away? That repulsion, right? That is altermagnetism. That is them creating a strong enough repulsion field using coherence versus reactivity. It's why that cylinder turns. Those are the two different forms of mathematics, Lorentzian, Euclidean. Um, but transmutation, they understand like the Egyptians did, and they were only a fraction of the antediluvians. But when you touch something in full coherence and full hyperphantasia, that interfolding geometry, you are not just being repelled. It's like us standing. When we stand, we are technically by the loosest of standards, levitating because nothing touches. When you sit in that coherence, lower your frequency enough to where altermagnetism no longer affects your body, and you touch something with that inner folded geometry, you can release that because it's thought, which vibrates, which is kinetic energy. The fire on the hands, right down here, right? Touch. And as long as your thought is coherent, held, stable, and the more fields you have in agreement giving you more toroidal energy, can transmute. That's why they don't have edges. They don't have doors. They don't have, well, they have a door, but the door opens in that specific way. It's all because inner folding geometry was used to create outside world. It's why the Fibonacci sequence exists. It's why everything is in a golden ratio because everything was transmuted into existence. We were all created with clay. We were created no differently than anything else we see on this world. One active observer stepped into their own frame of the multiverse and began creating. Whether that was a second ago or a 8 billion, 9 billion infinite time ago, these are iterations. A Mobius strip, you fold a piece of paper over itself, you create the figure eight, but you're also creating a single layer. It's no longer a front and back, it is a single layer. So as you traverse and do the course, you invert at some point. We are in that inversion, ready to flip. We just finished a 26,000 year zodiac calendar cycle. We are transitioning. Everything's math. Everything's played out because everything all the way to the 1600s when this was originally painted. I think I'm gonna take a little breaky break from the stream for a little bit, but I will definitely be back on to finish this airship in a bit. Bye. Yes, I'm gonna draw with you once I figure out what I'm doing here.